Hi. Okay, so we have the outside connectors in place. We need to do some on the corners of our box. So we're going to cut 4 for the outside and 4 for the inside. And we've done this in other videos, so I'm going to show you quickly how we do that. I basically put the edge of my connector at the edge of my piece of chipboard, and I go up to the top and I fold it, and then I cut it. So you'll cut basically 4 like that. And then once you've done that, 4 of them will get cut like this with a ledge at the top. And then 4 of them are going to get cut on both ends like that. So you're going to have 4 that look like this, and you're going to have 4 for the inside that look like this. Okay. The other thing that we're going to cut in just a minute are going to be the inside. And it's basically the same. You'll take a piece of your connecting paper, measure it across, fold it, and then make sure you're cutting at the open edge. The insides get cut into angles like that. And so you're going to need 2 for this, 1 for this side, 1 for this side, so that's 2 the same side, and then 2 this size. So once you have that, then let's go ahead and attach them. I'm taking the ones that look like this, that have a little ledge on the top, and on the inside, this is the outside, the folded outside. This is the inside, the one that folds to the inside. So on the inside, I'm going to go ahead and put glue on just half of the inside. And then on the same side that has your other connectors, I'm going to go ahead and attach all of these. I'm going to attach them basically to the short sides, 2 here, and then 2 on the opposite end. So once we have those all on, then we can go ahead and start forming this into a box. And so I'm going to go ahead and attach this one. And I just make sure that this is pushed up against the chipboard and that it's even at the top. Then we go ahead and burnish it. Okay, so we have those 2 done, and then we're going to do this side. So I'm going to go ahead and glue half of the inside of one of my connectors. I make sure everything's going to line up. Now this is a little bit big, and I'll show you how to fix that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get that burnished down. Now, if you find that you have one that's just a little bit long, because you do want it to be pretty even with your bottom, I just go ahead and turn it over and cut off that little piece, and you can see it's even now. Yay! Okay, the last one is going to be glue. And then we go ahead and get it. And this one's going to be too tall also, I can tell already, because I lined it up with the chipboard at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish that. And then I'll take it on the other side and I'll cut off. It's just a very little bit, but You don't want that there. Okay, that looks good. So hopefully you've gotten these cut, and I'm going to go ahead and take my longer ones and work with them first. These are my short ones. So I'm going to take one of my longer ones, and this time I'm going to glue on the outside, but I'm only going to do half. I'm not going to do both sides. I'm just going to do half. So let's go ahead and put our glue on this. And we want to get it as even to the edge of our base as we can. There we go. And you can see I haven't come across that gap. I've just put it even to the edge of my base. So then let's go ahead and burnish that down, and let's do the other side also while we're at it. I'm going to go ahead and put glue on just half of this. And do the same thing. We're going to get it as close to our edge as we can without going over. Use the warmth of my hand, and then I'll burnish. Okay, so then I just want to take one of my short sides, and I want to be ready for that, but I am going to put these ones up first. So let's go ahead and put glue on the other half. And then I'm going to put a little bead of glue inside that little valley I made. I'm going to push so that the edge, the bottom edge, is on my table. I'm going to stand it up, and as I do, I'm going to grab that piece of connector on the inside and just push it across like that. And then take your bone folder, go ahead and burnish it down really well, and do that on the other side. And then we'll work with the short sides one at a time. I'm sorry, I want to put a little bead in that little valley. Push, pull up on my connector, and I have it. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish that really well. Okay, so we want to work one at a time. So I have one of these. I'm going to go ahead and glue half of one of the outsides. And I'm going to put it in here so that it's right at the edge of my base. I'm going to use the warmth of my hand, burnish. Okay, so I want to pull these tabs a little bit away, because as we pull this up, we don't want those to get stuck on the inside. We want those on the outside. So I'm going to put glue, first of all, on this connector. I'm going to put some glue in that valley. I'm going to pull these back a little bit, and then I'm going to push down towards my table, pick up that glued piece and connect it to this side, and then you can burnish it. Now, before we do the other side, we're going to go ahead and glue these. Now remember that the sides are on the inside, and then they just overlap a little bit on this one. I don't know if I can get that up far enough for you to see. So let me do it on this side. This edge of your long side will actually get glued right about here on the flat side of this part. So that's where we kind of want to put our glue. I'm going to turn this and I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this tab. And then I'm going to make sure that the edge of this is on the flat side of this piece. And as I do that, then I'm going to go ahead and shut it. And you can use your hand on the inside to support it, or you can lay it over on the inside and burnish from the inside. I do both. I think I get a stronger hold if I do a little bit more work. So let's go ahead and put glue on this little tab. And again, the edge of this one goes on the inside of the flat part of that one. And it almost looks like they're not even, and that's just going to have to be okay. Sometimes things are not perfect. Let's burnish the inside, use our hand to support. Okay, and you can kind of see this side's just a little bit taller. I can take scissors and kind of cut that. And if that bothers you, then go ahead and kind of just make yourself a little angle so that it softens into that. Okay, so let's do the other side. First of all, we want to go ahead and put this paper down. It's a little bit long, I can already tell. So I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on here. And then I want to go ahead and put that at the edge of my base on the inside edge. Okay. I'm going to burnish that down pretty well. And then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the other half. And I want to put some in that little valley. So I want to pull these little tabs out, away, push so that that's on the table, and then pull up that tab and connect it to my side. And then I'll use my bone folder to just burnish that down really well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and connect these. Let's put some glue on that tab. Make sure that the edge of this one goes on the flat side of this side. Okay. And the same on this side. We're going to put glue on our tab. And we want to make sure that the edge of this one goes on the flat side of this one to make it pretty square. It also gives it some stability when you build it like this. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take our inside ones, and I'm going to check them first. They should just about be right. I'm going to cut just a little bit off this one. And I am going to put glue on the entire outside. And it will become the inside once I get this glued into this corner, but for now, because it's folding this way, it's the outside. And so I go ahead and push all that in. Use my bone folder on both sides. Okay, let's check another one. It's a little too big. I cut it short. And so then I'm going to put glue on the entire area, both sides of my outside. And then then I will stick it in that corner, let the warmth of my hand work first, and then I will push that down with my bone folder. It's looking nice. And let's do another one. That one's just a tiny bit too big too. So I cut off an end, just a sliver, just a very small sliver. And then we will put that in here. Use your bone folder to go ahead and burnish down both sides. And let's check this last one. Oh, that last one's good. Oh, nice. Okay, let's go ahead and put glue on the entire area of the outside of this little tab. And we're going to put it in that corner. Push it down with our hand and then with our bone folder. There we go. So you have a choice. Sometimes I don't finish these edges, sometimes I do, but if you want to finish it, we're going to do that before we put it inside of our outside book, before we put it in here. We're going to go ahead and finish one of these, just so you see how it can be done. Now, first of all, I want to make sure, and I think these will both just about fit. They might be a little big and we'll cut them down later. But I want to take a longer one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to center it so that there's a little bit of over edge on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and fold one edge, fold the other corner. So you have something like this, and I'm going to make it really square for now. And then on the inside of your fold, you want to take your scissors and where that meets on the outside, you want to go ahead and take a little triangle out so that it looks like that. And you can see that's where my fold is. So I'm going to do that on the other side. And there we go. So once we've done that, I am actually going to glue the outside pieces of this. And you can do all of this at one time. You just have to be a little careful when you're gluing it down, but I am going to go ahead and glue the piece that's not cut. And I get it pretty close because we are going to glue it to this top little ledge. So then I will try to go ahead and make sure that my corners fit. And then I will go ahead and push all of this towards my box. And I'll lift these for now. And you might want to do these one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bead of glue across the top of the chipboard. And then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the entire piece, one side at a time. So I will push this over and down into my box, and then I'm going to go ahead and burnish really well. And I'm going to go ahead and burnish this one too. And I move my hand as I push. You don't want to push too hard or you'll break that. So then I'm going to do those little ends now. And I'll put glue on there and a little bit of glue on that chipboard. Push it over and down. And it does. It makes a nice little edge. You can always use the side of your bone folder to crisp up those edges like that. And then let's go ahead and do this one. We're going to go put glue there. crisp up that edge. There we go. So let's go ahead and do the other side with a long piece. And this is it's a little short. I'm going to get a longer one. I like to have enough going over the edges. And then we're going to crisp that up and make sure that it's pretty square. Go ahead and take your inside triangle out. And then the other inside triangle. So I have those. Okay, so then we're going to glue it again. We're going to do the same thing, and we're only going to glue the part that's not cut. The side that's cut we're going to save for the second part of this. Okay, and I want to make sure that my corners are in the corners and they're pushed down and against my box on all sides. And then I'm going to lift these up and go ahead and glue all of these edges down. A bead at your chipboard, and then your edging glued very nicely. I'm going to push that, push it over. And the same thing on all of my edges. Then I'm going to go ahead and burnish them really nicely on the outside as well as that little top. Okay, then I'm going to kind of flatten these. Now, I don't want this to be exactly as long as my box. I'm going to take it, about to where my edges are with my paper, and I'm going to cut that. And then basically I'm going to do one side at a time again, which means that I'm doing half of the inside. And I'm going to try and get those pretty well lined up. And then a bead on my chipboard and that little edge all glued like that. And then we're going to push it over and down. Now, I do want to show you. Mine are not exact. This one is a little bit longer than the middle one. It doesn't matter because we're going to put some pretty papers on this. So this is just to make the edges look very pretty. Now let's do the same thing to this side. I will glue down half of the inside of my edging. I guess we call it the edging. Call it whatever you like. And I do want to make sure that the fold is at the top. So So you can see I push that down. And then I'm just going to go ahead and burnish that a little bit, just to make sure it stays. So we want to put a bead across our chipboard, and then the entire flap that we're using to edge this. And I'm going to push down and then in. And burnish. And again, I'm going to flatten those edges, make sure all of my edges are pretty flat. So there you have two ways you can do this. You can either finish it with a nice piece of board, which is cool, and then we will decorate that, or you don't have to. I kind of like the finished one. So after we've done that, we want to go ahead and glue it into here. Now, when we're gluing that, remember we have a valley right here, and we have a piece here that ends before we get to that valley. We have a piece here and a piece here. So when we're gluing this, you're going to have to watch several things at one time. You want it to be centered this way so that one edge isn't, one edge isn't longer and then you have no edge here. You want that centered. But you also want to watch so that the edge of this does not overhang the edge of the flat piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my glue, and I'm just using our glitter glue. If you have something stronger that you want to trust more, go ahead. I'm good with that. My glue's not coming out well, so let me see if I can get it to come out better. Okay. No, it still doesn't want to come out. I think this one might work a little better. Yeah, there we go. So I'm putting a nice bead around the entire outside edge of this box. And then I'm just going to go ahead, and you can hear that. To make sure that my edges are good and gluey. Now, again, so much to watch, so much to be careful of. So my suggestion is don't push it down, press on it until you know that you've got it just about where you want it. Now, it's a little bit harder to burnish through chipboard, but it can be done. So you just have to push a little bit harder, take a little bit more time. Okay, and there we go. Now, this isn't actually staying shut, but what we do is we will put something as a clasp here, and if you have the tags, we use a tag, and then we put a ribbon through it to tie these together so that they stay kind of shut. So there you go, there's your little box, and I've made two, so I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been very fun for me to join you and to play with paper and chipboard today. Most of you know how to go ahead and decorate these, how to measure the inside and the out to make sure your papers work. But for those of you who don't, I will be back on in our next segment, and that's what we'll do. We will go ahead and decorate this with pretty paper, so make sure you have your pretty paper. The other thing that will do is it will give this a chance to dry really well. So, thanks for joining me. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.